Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, hoping you guys are having a good day, and above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the topic of what we hope to be a fun episode, because that's what we have around here is fun, damn it. I want to welcome back to the channel my two cohorts and co-hosts, Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
Doing okay. I was told I must have fun. So, yep, we're here to have fun, damn it.
It's up to you. It is completely up to you, sir. All
Oh,
right. All right. And the one and only Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Going fine. Good to be here and no pressure for me.
Good that you're here. I love the fact that you're on vacation. I
oh,
wish I
I'll,
could
I'll,
be
I'll
there
put
with you.
pressure on you.
Yeah, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Desert Island Discs. Now, let me set this up for you again. You're told that you're going to be going to a desert island for life. You have a week to prepare, not very long, to again get your affairs in order, say goodbye to your family, your friends, or tell them all off, whatever way you want to handle it.
Say
Uh,
goodbye to Hollywood.
there you go. And New York. And there's one condition. You are allowed to bring with you only 5 albums. 5. Now, if you're a music collector like the three of us are, and you've amassed a huge amount of CDs and albums in your music collection, huge, huge jazz hands. Thank you. Think about it.
Well, that
Five
was that was
albums.
huge,
Oh,
huge
there you
hands.
go. Oh, there you go. Think about it. 5 albums. What would you choose? Okay. It's a daunting task, right? So, I, you know, I gave myself this challenge, and Jim and Ken have decided to come along with me on this trip, and they're going to give their choices. Now, we've already talked about Ken's choices, and in this episode, Jim is going to take the floor and he's going to give us his 5 choices for his desert island discs. Go ahead.
Indeed, I am.
Go ahead,
Indeed, I
Jim.
am. Okay. So, these challenges, I alternately delight in them and abhor them. Just because it's like, oh, this is
Okay.
kind of fun, but then there's like, oh, how do I choose between X and Y? Um, I ultimately kind of narrowed down my choices kind of based on like three different criteria, and I kind of put everything sort of against that. Um, since I'm going to be on the island with these for the rest of my life, they better be musically interesting. There better be something in these performances that will keep me going back to them and not getting bored. Um, Also, there's got to be a lot of variety, either within or across all 5 albums. Because again, if I got to live with these for the rest of my life, then there better be something there. And then there's got to be something that's melodically or harmonically strong, something that's eminently singable. Maybe not, maybe I can't sing it well, but to me, it's worth a try because the melodies and harmonies are so strong. Um, I noticed when I went through my list that there were a few crossovers with the uh, 31 Perfect Album series that we did, but not everyone is on here. So, although I purposely put a couple of these aside because they're not perfect, there's like an emotional connection to these that kind of supersedes perfection. Um, if you know what I mean? There's just something else about it that's like, oh, I can't just leave this aside. So
Yeah. Yeah.
those are my criteria. And maybe at some point along the way, the powers that be will allow a second crate to be delivered with, 5 more albums. For now, these are the 5 albums that I'm going with.
There you go.
Um,
Never know.
all right. So we are going with, I'm going to take these chronologically in the year that they were released. And I think if there are people that know me well, these are all going to be the, well, no duh category. but
Mhm.
they're no duh for a reason. Uh, First one I'm grabbing off the shelf is Miles Davis Kind of Blue from 1959. Um, Arguably the most influential and possibly the greatest jazz record ever recorded. Um, it is the not the first modal jazz album, but it is the one where that sonic vision is just perfected. Um, any record that's got Miles and John Coltrane and Bill Evans and Cannonball Adderley, forget about it. It's just going to be a barn burner. And even on the tunes that are just, have, I don't know, 50 beats per minute, like barely above your heartbeat, if that, they still burn because they're just so on fire with their approach to the tunes and the melodies and moving them forward and playing within the changes that they've been told to kind of stay within. It's just an absolutely phenomenal record, and I probably think about this record every day in some small way, shape, or form. So I can't even envision leaving this behind. Um, just because it lives rent free in my head doesn't mean I shouldn't take a copy of it with me because hopefully not only do I get to pick the albums on this island, but I also get to pick the sound system. If it's
But of
like one of
course,
those, okay, so as long as it's not one of those, close the cover with the needle that's little more than a sewing pin, um, I think we'll be in good shape here. So that's my first choice. 5 tracks, just all unbelievable. Um, my second, and guys, jump in with comments, argument
well,
points,
I knew Miles
etc.
Davis. I knew Miles Davis was going to be there no matter what. So,
Hmm.
and yes, I will put this in as a condition. You and everyone else on their islands can have the best sound system around. Next on
My
your
second
list?
choice,
Okay.
yes, jumping ahead 10 years to the final album from the Beatles. This would be final in terms of when it was recorded, of course, which is how all Beatles snobs look at these things. Abbey Road from 1969. Um, their last gasp of doing something together, and under George Martin's leadership, they just nailed it.
Mhm.
I absolutely adore this album. The Even though Maxwell's Silver Hammer and Octopus's Garden kind of keep it from being part of my perfect series, there's an emotional resonance that I have with this record that kind of supersedes those two. And plus, just on the strength of side B alone, it just overpowers any faults to me that are on side A. Whether I'm listening to it on an album that you got to turn over or it's a CD, going through Maxwell and Octopus's Garden is more than worth the trip to get to side B.
Yeah, I hear what you're
And
saying. Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I was just going to say I would remove Octopus's Garden and keep Maxwell Silverhammer if I had the choice. But
Mhm.
I hear what you're saying. It's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, when I was thinking about needing to have something that was eminently singable and rich in melody and harmony, that's where Abbey Road just kind of fits in very, very easily into that slot.
Yep. No.
So, almost a no-brainer for me. Um, okay, third album is one that was mentioned tangentially by Ken in his choices for what albums he was going to bring. And as we discussed in that episode, apparently we're now part of an archipelago chain of islands. I can walk over to Ken's, and then we can listen to "Fragile" by Yes, and then he can walk back over to my island, and then I'll fire up "Close to the Edge," which is my third choice.
Okay.
Um, and I picked this one because um, just as I kind of get older, I'm really having a hard time figuring out if there was a better band on the planet in 1971 and 72 than the Anderson, Howe, Squire, Bruford, Wakeman version of Yes. I mean, those guys were so prolific and virtuosic and ahead of their contemporaries and what they were putting down musically. It's just kind of astounding. Yeah, the more I listen to Close to the Edge, the more I'm pretty sure it's like my top prog album of all time. And you know, frankly, I'm just kind of at this point where I'd rather listen to Close to the Edge than say, Foxtrot, um, which is also from the same year.
Yeah.
Only three songs. I mean, can you get the edge song wise and Fragile because there's nine of them, I think. Um, Even though one of them is only like 53 seconds. Um, but yeah, I mean, I chose this album because it kind of hits those high points of it's musically interesting. There's a ton of variety. There are parts that they're eminently singable by John Anderson, not by Jim Bricker, but by John Anderson. I'll try to squeak out a note here or two if I'm feeling plucky. But yeah, I just really, really love Close to the Edge. I also tried to pick albums that wouldn't kind of be redundant with what's going on in my desert island surroundings. For instance, could have considered, a couple of Brian Eno ambient albums. Well, I already got enough ambient enough going on. Thank you very much. If I'm putting on music, I want to pick something else that's kind of against the grain of where I am 24/7, 365 for the rest of my life.
I got you.
So, even though, at the beginning and the ending of Close to the Edge can kind of sound like, you know, water babbling and, cosmic this and island that. Um, I'm still going for it big time.
Okay. So no Tales of Topographic Oceans.
As we've discussed, that would be in the turd category for me.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
No drama.
Okay.
no drama, no tormados,
Okay.
and anything else you want to throw in there, Ken?
Okay.
No,
No?
you just
Okay.
you just you just threw Tormato, so
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Conti
All right. So
continue.
that was 72. My fourth album is another no-brainer from the shelf, which I would grab probably even before Miles, and that is this little batch of songs that Walter Becker and Donald Fagen cranked out in 1977, along with the best musicians on the planet, and that's Asia. And again, for your musical stunningness, for your compositional variety, for a melodic and harmonic slap in the face with almost every tune. You know, it's it stands almost above every other record to me. I mean, on this list, I've got like my three favorite albums of all time. I Steely Dan, Kind of Blue, and Abbey Road. So there's no way I was leaving Asia behind on this one,
Hmm.
and this would definitely be in the duh category for people who've watched these episodes and seen me around for a while.
I get you.
Um, what's that?
I get you. I understand.
You get me? And I think this might be the first thing that I would put on this hi-fi sound system that I find has been shipped to this island for my benefit. So I want to put it through its paces very quickly. So like, let's hear what Steve Gadd sounds like on this, and then stand back and just drool. Um,
Okay.
all right, last choice, um, which was actually it was not my last choice of album selected, but it was one of the first two or three, and that is again a no duh um, for people who know me, and this is Travels from 1983, Pat Metheny Group. Their double live album, originally shipped on ECM, still on ECM, I think. Um, Double album, more than half of these tracks had been previously unreleased, so they were like debuted on a live album, which is pretty unheard of.
Hmm.
Um, the we talked about this record before. The couple of songs that are on here that were done on previous albums, like "Are You Going With Me" and "San Lorenzo," those might be considered the definitive versions of these songs that kind of tower above even the great studio versions that were produced. And again, this is another one that's on here because it kind of hits the park again out of those three categories. It's unbelievably strong melodically and harmonically. Metheny has his way of writing ahead of a tune that's just mind blowing in terms of um, the strength of what's in that song. Um, there's a lot of variety within the album itself. You know, you've got kind of this weird kind of soundscape soundtrack of, As Falls Wichita, that, stands right next to this kind of almost outside Ornette Coleman tune called Extradition. Um, but but again, it's, collectively it all works together. Absolutely amazing record. And of course the performances at Lyle Mays, uh, Steve Rodby is an absolute rock on bass. Um, he's not flashy like Jocko, but he always hits the right note. Always does. It's like, what other thing can you put in there? And it's like, well, I can't think of anything else that would add oh, let's call it the foundational oomph that a song needs to propel it forward. Rodney has always got an amazing ear and picking just the right stuff. Um, and then, of course, Danny Gottlieb and Nana Vasconcelos on drums and percussion are just outstanding. Um, Vasconcelos with that Brazilian edge, with the voice and just the percussion that he uses, absolutely beautiful. Um, that's probably the closest flavor to the islands would be Vasconcelos's choice of percussion here and there. It sounds kind of islandy and tropical at times,
Hmm.
even though it's deeply Latin. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, those are my five choices. I'm not sweating about any of them. It's like if I had to live comfortably with those five records for the rest of my life, yep,
Good
sign me up.
choices. Good choices. I've been listening to Travels for another show that we're working on. Um, and I like what I'm hearing. So it's good. It's good. Any comments, Ken?
Yeah, eh,
No?
very
Okay.
solid list. Yeah.
Okay. All
Solid effort, Jim.
right.
Almost
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
you nailed it. You nailed it. Almost perfect. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another episode of Desert Island Discs. Please put down in the comments below what you would pick if you had to pick five albums to be on a desert island for life, and you had five albums to listen to. What would they be? It's not as easy as you might think. Especially again if you're a music collector like the three of us are. It's not an easy choice. But again, this was just a fun exercise. So again, please let us know your your picks and your comments about our picks. And yeah, it would be interesting to hear what people would have to say about that. So I just want to thank again Jim and Ken for coming along with me on this journey. And please click like and subscribe, and do hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we've got coming up. And we'll see you soon with more videos. Please look after yourselves and one another, and have a good night. Bye for now.